trees are getting now.
You did?
Yeah.
Rabbi, you were
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
the
yeah,
trees?
yeah,
Oh, 'cause I
sure.
thought you were giving a shit at night.
I videotaped my share before,
Ah.
and then I don't know why it didn't.
What?
The blankets.
It wasn't working.
They're on
Yeah.
YouTube.
You need shit at night?
Yeah.
No. I just wanted to figure out what bracha. It would probably be Borei Praha Adama, right? There's a lot of the problem. You
Maybe
see Shachar?
Probably shahata. Let me see. Peanut butter brown, peanuts, corn, grits. So yeah, it's shahata.
Shachar, okay. Yeah, you don't see the peanut. Thank you.
Yeah, it's shahata.
So if it's ground up, it would be Shahako.
Okay.
Rabbi, question. Well, what about a snack that's clumped together, like granola? Do you make separate bracha? Do you make one
Depends.
bracha?
Anything that's baked together or cooked together, you have to look at it as one unit,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't look at it as two units. So
Okay.
if you cook or bake fish and vegetables,
Mhm.
so the fish is the main thing. So the bracha shahak. If you're in doubt, you look at what's the majority. If things were not baked together, they make a separate bracha.
Okay.
Some of the granolas are baked together, and some of them are not. They're roasted and then they glue them together afterwards.
The granola I have from Israel is glued together, and it has some banana, some dates, and I've got the third thing.
If they're not baked together, then you can make a separate bracha. And you also
they're baked together, but there is equal amount of all three.
if they're baked together, and then the bracha is mezainis. It's always because the wheat will always trump everything else.
Thank you, Rabbi.
The wheat is only there for giving a flavor.
A
color or a glue.
Question for you. I made separate brachot, but should I say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Lilan V'ed or no?
No, I don't know. Let's say right away.
Okay, but I didn't know, so I thought to make separate brachot.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Rabbi.
My grandmother. Parcha bat Mas'uda v'Yoshua.
Okay.
So your side.
Not here.
So you see that the Masuda is a very Iraqi name.
Yeah, Mas'uda is they have Saida, Mas'uda, Saudia, like Saudia, Sa'ad, Samech Ayin Dalet, Toher.
Right.
With the same shoulders.
My uncle that was here has one of his daughters is Masuda.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
That's cool.
Because his grandmother was Masuda. He told you he's from Iraq.
Oh, from
Really?
They're
Cool.
from Iraq. Then they moved to India and Malaysia, and then they moved to Burma, and from Burma they moved to Melbourne.
Wow.
So what does Sauda mean? What is the Shorish word? It's to help?
Wow.
Okay, we have today a very dynamic and geschmacka sugya. Okay.
Hello, Aaron.
It's a dynamic sugya and a very geschmacka sugya. And it's as tomorrow night we'll look in the Shulchan Aruch. It's very relevant to many questions, questions that are contemporary questions. It's like a funny question. Should I do a sin or a little sin? If you say, would you tell someone to do a sin in order for someone else to have benefit? Or the way Rashi says, to do a little sin, should I do a kleina avedala to bring benefit to someone else? So it almost sounds like a funny question. It's very relevant to many temporary questions, as we'll get to later or tomorrow. And here is the foundation of this whole sugya. It's we're holding that Dalid Amud Aleph 6 lines from the top. The last word. Gufa, yeah. Boy, Rabbi Barabaya. Probably I'm mispronouncing it. His name was not like Bibi Netanyahu, Vabi or Vavi, whatever. I like to call it Bibi. Bibi Barabaya asked,
Maybe.
huh?
Like the Baal Shem Tov had a Talmud Viva.
Yeva, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Anyway, so the Bibi Barabaya asked, Hidbik Pazbetanod. A person put the bread in the oven. He glued it. Yeah. So as we spoke about the other day, that in those days they made bread like they make in what's it called? Olympic pizza here on Coney Island. They take the lava, stick it onto the wall of the oven, and then when it's ready, they take a thing and they like a stick and they take it out. Take it out, and then you get a nice, fresh, hot lava. So Hidbik Pazbetanor, I was Shabbos, and he put dough and he glued it on the wall of the oven. Is he allowed to take a stick and take it out, or not allowed to? Now, taking a stick and taking out the bread is only also the Rabbanon. If the bread is actually going to stay there long enough and it's going to bake, he's going to be over Isur of which one of the 39 malachas is he going to do if the bread gets baked? Ofer. He's baking. Ofer. So, what's better? So Rabbi, when the question was asked in the Beis Medrash, Rabbi said, "Hey Chidam, I don't understand. What kind of question is this? If it was accidental, he never remembered that accidentally. He didn't remember it was an accident. He didn't realize it's Shabbos or whatever it is. He had some shogeg.
Or maybe it wouldn't be before Shabbos and he forgot to take it out.
Well, then there wouldn't be a shiloh. There would be nothing wrong with it.
What? It's baking on Shabbos.
Huh?
It's baking on Shabbos.
Okay, so Shalom does also bake cooking on Shabbos.
Although it depends how long it was there beforehand.
What's the difference? If he didn't, he's not going to be doing a melech avoif. Here we're talking about it went on Shabbos. So the question is, hey Chidam, if you put it before Shabbos, it'd be no problem. What would be the problem? It's like putting your shalom on the pot. He didn't put a blech. He didn't do grufa ktuma. So Issa de Rabbanan, it's another issue. Here we're talking about that he did it on Shabbos, which is a Issa de Raisa. And now on the Shabbos, he forgot it Shabbos, and he glued the laf on the dough the dough on the oven. So now, if he takes a stick and quickly takes it out, it didn't get baked. He did nothing.
Right.
So the question is, should he do it or not? Rabbi asked, "Hey Chidam, what are you talking about over here? If we're talking about was b'shoigig, lamani tiru. What are we talking about? We're asking, who is asking a question? He accidentally put the dough in the oven, and he forgot, and he still forgot, and he still 10 days later he still forgot, right? So who's asking questions? He forgot. Showing, so he's not asking any questions. Okay, so what's talking about? Elalav, the Hodav Itka, he did remember. If he remembered, mi mechayev, he wouldn't be chayev to bring a kor mechatos. But now we learned in the Mishnah, kol chayev mechatos, all those that are chayev to bring a kor mechatos, and chayevim atshir tchelos and shkoga v'seif and shkoga. It has to be from the beginning till the end. It has to be b'shoigig. If you remembered in the middle, so there's no kor mechatos. So Ella, the Gemara says, "B'meizid koydem shevel idei iso skila." The question was, he put it in intentionally, and now he had charata. He realized it's a terrible thing. He's going to come to the isra of skila, so he wants to do tshuva. He wants to try to do something. So if he grabs the dough out of the oven, he's not going to come to do an isra skila. Now Tosfos points out that for the same price for exactly the same price, the Gemara could have said, Koydin she'ovel lidei isur chatos. If we think he wants to grab it out in order not to get to isur for the same price, so it's true, and la'aloch, it's also true. It's just that it wouldn't go. That Bibi Barabaya said he had a question, so someone must have accidentally. He said Koydin she'ovel lidei chiyuv chatos. So he didn't say chiyuv chatos. They misheard him. He said isur skila. Okay. Two words they might have misheard, but to say koyin shi'avai lidei, the problem of a korban chatas, it's too many words to let's read in the small toises. Vela the hadvid kemi machayv tema lishni aima that he shouldn't come lidei isur chatas kedamin mesamoch koyin shi'avai the isur skila. So the Rosh answers that there were two. It's true. There have been too many words to shove into the words of. Someone didn't remember it exactly, but it's true. It's the same thing. Okay, so the Gemara is saying takas. Okay, Meboyle was a question. Amr Shila said no. The question was b'shogeg. Who was it permissible to grab the bread out of the oven? Lachaydim, to other people. Sheish said, would you tell a person to sin in order to benefit his friend? So he's saying that the question was that I saw someone accidentally put the bread in the oven. So if I go quickly and grab it out, it's as if he did nothing because the dough is staying raw. So
the person himself could do it. So the person himself
the person here. So there's several possibilities. Either person
What's the
left.
advantage of someone else taking it?
It's a theoretical question the Gemara asked. The guy had a heart attack. He died.
Okay. So it's just a
No, if he died, it wouldn't be
it's
that.
just a
We're trying to figure out in the case that you can't tell him he left, he walked away, he's not.
Nothing more is happening.
Huh?
Nothing more is happening. That works will be very shaggy. No shaggy. It has to be close and
No, he said if he himself, obviously it can be, because if he wants to save himself, again, it could be that he's asking us he doesn't want to have the isur chatas, and it's true, but that's like saying he doesn't want to isur skila. If he says he comes running and says I don't want to have the aveda, but Chacham say I'm not allowed to take it out with a stick.
Right.
But please let me do it so I don't have the aveda deraisa. So it's either he doesn't want to get to isur skila, or he doesn't want to get to isur. Whatever, he does, fine. But now the Gemara says no. Maybe the question of Bibi was something else. That he walked away and his friend sees that accidentally he put the dough. If his friend will quickly run and take it out and save his friend as if he did nothing wrong. So Taka, his friend, as if he did nothing wrong because the dough went out from the oven and the dough stayed raw. But I did something wrong. I was over Issa de Rabbanon from taking out bread from the Tanur.
Even if it wasn't.
Yeah, they said it's also leader this pasma Tanur is also. So that's the question. Would you tell a person to sin in order to bring benefit to another person? This is a very, very interesting thing. We're going to get. This is the heart of the sugya that I want to do today. Sometimes Tosfos is going to say we do say, but the Gemara here says no. We can't tell. I can't tell you to sin in order to benefit someone else.
Yeah,
can't do that. Elam Rabashi, back to the other question. The issue was Loilam Amazing. That he did it intentionally, and we don't want he should come to Issa Skila. Again, he could say for the same price, he could say it was B'shogeg, and he doesn't want to get himself into doing an Issa Torah. Bottom line is, he wants to not have the Issa on him. And we're going to learn Rashi in a second. Behedya means that he learned it not as a question, but as an answer. That if a person put dough in the oven, so from the way we're learning it, Rava learned, so it's clear what he said. First of all, it's not a question, it was a statement. And second of all, it was talking about that the person put the dough into the oven, and he wants to save himself the Aveira. He doesn't want to have the Aveira. Okay. That's the way Rashi learns. Other Meforshim learn not that way. The Rabbi Yochanan says no. It was a question. It was just we figured out what the question was. And Rashi says, not only did we figure out what the question was, we also figured out the answer. Let's read it in Rashi. V'lo yitkar, he didn't remember. The Gemara says, what's called if he doesn't remember? So lamani tiru, Allah asakadaita, Allah v'vilishal al-kach. If he put the dough and he forgot. He's not asking you any questions. He remembered before it got baked. It has to be tchila v'soifa, tchila samalacha v'soifa, lo'noida lo'shigigos, at'shenigmar aveda. But if he knows what he did wrong before the aveda was done, he doesn't bring a kor mechatas. So they said lacherim. A person saw that a Jew put dough into the oven. He's coming to ask the bezdin that the dough is a kol sheva chavedo lechiv chatas. So the Gemara says v'chermel lo'adam tzei v'chatei isur kal kedei shelo yechav eschai v'chaverecha oynish chamur. Oynish chamur. Do we say that a person shouldn't do a easy isur in order that his friend shouldn't do a more difficult isur? The Rebbe has a question, and I'm going to get to the end of his question. Deal Kanashi. Why say oynish chamur? You should say kedei shelo yischai v'chaverecha kedei shelo yasa chaverecha isur chamur. We'll get to the Rebbe's answer soon. Kanashi, okay? Behedya. Skilo, Belashon Pshitusa, Velo Belashon Baya, Boy Rebacha Blade Rav, it wasn't a question. Okay. So let's summarize the Gemara. Simple. Bibai asked a question. So this two possibilities what the question was. One possibility the Gemara says is he said that I see that my friend put dough and I want to grab it out, and that was a question. And if Sheshet says no, that can't be the question. I could never sin in order to save my friend. I'm not allowed to sin for you. I can't do that. Okay. And then the second way of learning the question was that no, we're talking about the person himself. And he realized, I put the dough inside. Amazing. I put the dough. What do I do now? If I could just grab the dough out, it'll never get baked. And retroactively, everything is fine. So his question is he allowed to do it or not? And according to Rashi, the answer is yeah, you're allowed to do it. Okay. Clear. Let's learn the Tosfos. The Gemara says in Ayedivin, that the Talmid Chacham should always be willing to do a little isur in order for the Amoritz not to do a big isur. That's a very strong statement. If you're a Talmid Chacham, you should be willing to put your neck out and do a small isur in order to avoid that another Jew coming to a difficulty. What is he talking about? Talking about over there that you have a guest in your house. He's an Amoritz. He doesn't know the halachas, the terminus ma'aser, this, that. He eats. Like they say the joke about this person, he went to Israel and he came back and they said, oh, in Israel, all the hashkochas, which one to eat. He said, I was very careful. I just say fruits and vegetables. So this guy is an Amoritz. He doesn't realize the halachas of Trumas Amaisers. And the Talmid Chacham is far from his house. Says, this guy, I welcomed in my house. He's going to go into the storage house. He start eating bananas and oranges and peaches, and I know I still didn't take truma from them. And he's over a terrible issue. He's eating tevel. So he's the chacham. What he does is he might right away say he has a couple of apples here, or oranges here. He picks them up. He says this is truma. He makes a bracha. He makes a ma'aser. He takes it. Problem is that's a issur derabbanan. You're not allowed to do that. Why? The Rabbanan said you only could be toidem in hamukif. It has to be together. It has to be together. So he's far away. Now he doesn't have a helicopter to go back home. That's it. He is where he is, and the Moritz is in his house. So Gemorrah says, you know what? Better to do a little issur derabbanan, and to take the truma shalom namukif, that they're not together in the same box, in the same table, and that's better. And this way you're going to save the Amoritz from doing a isur rabba, from eating mamish tevel. So we see we do tell a person sometimes to sin, to save his friend.
It's not like Rashi. Rashi is mamash the opposite.
Well, exactly, that's the question. So our Gemorrah said, no, you shouldn't sin for your friend. And here we say you should sin for your friend. So the Gemorrah Tosfos answers. So the Tosfos is going to say several answers. Before we go into the whole long Tosfos, Lanius Daiti, there's two main answers. And there's a few sidekicks, but there's two main answers Tosfos is going to give. Because otherwise you can count it as 4 or 5 answers. It's really 2 answers that Tosfos is going to give. Number 1, Tosfos says, because the Amoritz, we don't want him to eat tevel from the hand of the Talmid Chacham. He said, make yourself comfortable. Take te'enim from my te'enim. So then he realized, oi, I told him to take te'enim, but he's an Amoritz, and he doesn't realize that you have to take Trumas Amaisis. He's just going to eat it. It's terrible. It's my fault. I caused him to do the Yisr. It's my responsibility. So I should now take on my neck a small Yisr, not that he shouldn't do a big Yisr, because it's my responsibility.
How does that carry over that just because it's my responsibility that the Chazal will allow such a thing? How does that answer the question? The question is,
that's what Chazal said. Chazal said that when you're responsible, you gave him permission to take fruits, and now you chap, it's my responsibility. I told him to make himself comfortable in my house, take as much figs as he wants. Now he's going to start eating the figs, and he's going to be tevel. So it's my responsibility. So I should put my neck out and do a isur derabanan in order for him not to do a isur deraisa. In our Gemorrah, well, it sounds
like it's not that because I made a mistake, I am responsible. So
if you want to look at it as a knas, you can look at it as a knas.
On what basis, because I'm responsible, we can allow the person to do an isser. Now maybe it's like
no, Chachamim, no. Chachamim said the foundation of the whole sugi is that Chachamim said Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh B'zeh. Every Yid is responsible for another Jew.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems from the Gemorrah, from the end of the Gemorrah, I should always try to save myself from an Isur Chomer by doing an Isur Kal. No question, hands down. And tomorrow we'll go more deep into that. I should always do it to myself. So Chazal said also, so just like I'm supposed to do it for myself, you should do it for someone else. But there are certain parameters to that rule. So they said, according to the first Mahalach and Tosfos, they said, look, if the other guy's Aveda is your responsibility, he didn't tell him, listen, he didn't tell to the Amora, to the Reuven, go eat pork. Chas v'sholom. He said, make yourself heimish in my house. You say, I have there a few boxes of ta'enim, a few boxes of tapuchim. Mach tzach heimish, take. Then I realized, so it's not like I didn't tell him to eat this, but still, as a little bit, I have to take responsibility. So now I have to take on myself a isur. I'm being over an isur, a derabanan. I'm taking Truma Shlam and Amukiv in order to save him. But if he was a person that did an Aveda and I have no hand in it, so I'm not mechuyev to go now do Avedas and take it on my back for someone else.
How can you make such a mistake?
No, it's an easy mistake to make because he another Talmid Chacham would know. So he just didn't realize, it's an Amor. He just said, make yourself Hamish. Ain't it so? Bavel Hachin our Gemorrah Shalanas Yisrael Yodoi that he didn't do any Yisur. And the Talmid Chacham did nothing wrong. Ain't him like take I feel like a kal shloeva chavir the Yisur Chama. Remember Rivah says, I'm going to read it that the Rivah is not a new teretz. You could read it that way, but I'll read it now as another point. The Rivah says, the afilu lamad bekatzmoi ein lifshet misham lahatir the hosam adayin lo nasa Yisur mutiv sheyasa Yisur kal velo yoyasa Yisur chamor al yodeh. Aval hacha ma'isa shel Yisur kfar nasa umemele yigmar lo yasa afilu Yisur kal biyodayim. The Rivah says, and you can read it as a new difference, or you could read it as another point. But any bottom line is the Rivah says that there's a big difference between our Gemorrah and that Gemorrah. That Gemorrah, I say, he might actually take my offer and start eating fruits. But he didn't. In my mind, I'm not thinking he ate the fruits yet. He might not have eaten even one fruit yet. So it's kedai for me to put myself out to do a chait, I should sin in order he shouldn't come to sin. Pashenkin over here, he already sinned. Retro, if we grab the dough out of the oven, so it undoes what he already, but he did already. He did the sin. True, it didn't get baked yet. And if I grab it out, retro, it's as if I did what he did. But the pilot did it already. There's a big difference. There's a very big difference. There's a very, very big difference, says the Rivon. So,
according to Rabbi, even if it be Issa Deraisa, it'll be
huh?
according to Rabbi, even if it's Issa Deraisa, makes no difference.
No, only by Issa Kal and Issa Chamor. He says, this is his word. I feel Amad Gatzmai. Elif Misham Lahatir that and even though the Gemara at the end, the Gemara said that we were Poishet Lakula, but according to Rashi at least, we were Poishet Lakula. So the Rivok, even if the Rivok held like Rashi, the Rivok is saying, but at this point in the Gemara, we Gemara didn't say, oh, why we could learn it from there. Because for the person, because over there's a unique case. The Maisa Isa didn't get done yet. So therefore, there's more of a thing to put my neck out that I should. Mashenken, if the Maisa Isa was already done, maybe even I should not allow to do something to undo. Lapoil the Maskona the Gemara according to Rashi is that I'm allowed to. Lapoil the Maskona the Gemara according to Rashi. But at this point, even Rashi admits that we don't.
Only for
myself, not for someone else. But the Riva says at this point, the Gemara didn't bother saying, oh, I can't bring a raya from the Gemara in Eidevin. Why? Because the Gemara Eidevin is different. The Gemara Eidevin, the Maisa Isa didn't happen. But over here, the Maisa Isa already happened.
If it's a question of responsibility, if the Tamacha, if the person who put the dough in the oven on Shabbos is a guest, and then the host, what I'm calling the one who has responsibility, realizes that there's a Chilul Shabbos going on, then it should be similar cases.
So, if he told him Machzor Zeh Hamish and he asked what time is Shabbos, so he told him Shabbos is in 3 hours, and really he made a mistake and Shabbos is in an hour. You could cook up such a case, but that's what we're talking about. Yeah, if you really cooked up a case, you can have such a case. If you look, by the way, just pause in Tosfos and Rashi, the Rebbe says that maybe that's the diuk in Rashi. Rashi says, we would never tell you to do a sin in order to save him an oynish. Because he already did the ma'isa. And all you want to do is to save him an oynish, that not. But we would say that if he didn't do anything yet. That's the diuk in the words of Rashi. The Gemara says, "Could we say that I should do an aveda to save him on oynish? He already did the ma'isa, so he did the ma'isa. That's it. I should remove.
We're saying it's retroactive, so he didn't really do the ma'isa.
So he already did the ma'isa. That's the Reb Sheshes says.
There won't be an oynish.
Yeah, but still, he already did the ma'isa. He did the ma'isa. I shouldn't try to intervene. But if he didn't do any ma'isa, yeah, that's the diuk in the words of Rashi. I think it's a shine in the merit of Rashi. Because otherwise, why? I should only we care about the Rebbeinu Shalom, not about Oinshim. It's not like we're Jews because we're scared about Gehenim and we only want to follow the rules of the Torah because we're scared to get whipped in the Gehenim and we're excited to eat a little shara bar and lev. We're doing the mitzvahs because we want to be dovek to the Eibishter, and the Eibishter told it to us. And we don't want to do the Avedas because they're against what the Eibishter. No, but the word in Rashi, save that we would never tell him if the Maisa was already done and all you want to do is try to undo his Maisa in order to avoid the Einish, that not. But if it was Maisa was not done yet, so I want to go back to the Rebbe's word. The Rebbe says that now we know a diuk in Rashi and Chumash. That the Rashi and Chumash says that they put Parshas Miriam close to Parshas Amaraglam. Lo Malacha that the Rishoyim Alolu Rov v'Loylok Chumusa. And Rashi changes the words that are in the Bereishis Rabbah. The Rebbe is always bothered when Rashi changes a lashon, because the Rebbe shita was that Rashi wasn't just falling asleep when he was writing his Pirush. He didn't bother to look in the Bereshis Rabbah. They wrote every word is bediuk otzos. The Rebbe says there's a diuk nifla here. That Rashi holds that it depends if the person already did the Maisa like the Rivor didn't do the Maisa. Person could ask, it's not fair. Miriam didn't do a terrible sin. Lefi erech, what, like she didn't go out and say that Eibishter can't conquer it. Yisroel, Chas v'Sholom. The Meraglim was a merida b'Kodesh Baruch Hu. It was a merida b'Kodesh Baruch Hu. Miriam, she said, look, I'm a Navi, you're a Navi, you are Aaron HaKohen. She was talking to Aaron. And we're not separating husband and wife. So why does he have to do such a thing? It's not fair what he's doing to Miriam.
She's doubting as the Ruvas.
Still, so
Sounds
it's
like
not
she was worried.
It's not the Zach. So she got a nazifa for it. It's still they were moited b'Hakadosh Baruch Hu. It's different.
She was concerned about her sister-in-law Sephora.
Exactly. Okay, so she was taken. So the Chayda, how could you do such a thing to Miriam? It's not fair to Miriam. So Rashi says Rishoyim alolu ro v'lo lokchu muser, that Moshe Rabbeinu put the parsha. Again, it depends if parsha Torah was chasuma nitna or Megillah nikra. But if you hold the Torah Megillah nitna, so Moshe Rabbeinu told it to them, and the purpose was that they should learn Musa, even though there's Nebuch a little bit kilo chisaron in Miriam. Miriam is Nebuch is getting a little bit smeared and tarred over here. It's kilo achet, achisaron in Miriam, but in order to avoid a yid to do, he didn't do yet anything wrong. In order to avoid that, he shouldn't chas v'shalom come do something. We do say chatei chet kadesh izake chaverecha. If he didn't do anything yet, so before the Meraglim even did anything, Moshe Rabbeinu was right away masmech and taught the parsha of Miriam, and he was hoping that they're going to learn from this that they're going to take Musan. That's why the Rashi's Loshen is not V'shem alo chotu, which is the Loshen Bereshis Rabbah. The Loshen is that V'shem alolu ro v'loy lokchu Musa. Moshe Rabbeinu told them right away before they went out on the journey the story of, and he wrote the story in the Torah of Miriam, because he was hoping that they're going to take a Musa from this. Okay, anyway, that's the Rebbe's chap over here to connect. Let's continue in Tosfos. So the Riva says, to 2 points Tosfos says, it makes a difference if I caused the person to do the, or I didn't cause, and also makes a difference if he already did the action or not. It's one way of reading Tosfos is that you need both. You need number one that I caused him to do the isur, and he didn't do any ma'isa yet. Kilu, if the Talmid Chachem's wife called him on the cell phone and told him that the Amor Oretz already finished eating, as I'm gegangen, then okay. Anyway, at that point there's nothing to do, but whatever. You need Tartil Tivus. Okay, let's continue in Tosfos. Again, one more time. So Tosfos says 2 points. I have to be, for me to do an Avera, to save someone, I have to be somewhat, a little bit responsible, not to the highest level, but a little bit responsible. And number 2, he didn't do anything yet. Let's continue in Tosfos. V'hodet namba sheleach, and this that we learned in the Gemorrah sheleach in Git, mi shechetzi eved v'chetzi ben choyre, koifen as rabbe v'ais noisei ben choyre. That a person that has two people own a slave. One person says, okay, have a nice day, you're free. And the other guy still has him. So now this guy is stuck. Who's he going to marry? He can't marry any woman in this world. He can't marry a shivcha. He's a half a banchor. He can't marry a regular Jewish woman. He's half a evet. So he can't marry anyone. So we force the other partner to make him free because it's not fair. He can't do the mitzvah of getting married to a woman. You're not allowed to free your slave. So why are we forcing him to do a sin to free his slave? So the answer is the mitzvah rabbi, because it's a very important mitzvah. This idea of having Kiddush Kindlech is a very important mitzvah. It's a mitzvah rabbi. Kida Mishani Hosam, Birabalaza, Shenichnas Labes Hamedish, Velamotza Sham Yud, Bishikr, Les Avlashnu Melo Yud. The Gemara says, Mitzvah the Rabbim shiny. So the Gemara over there says that Rabbi went into the to Beis Hamedrash, and there were 9 people. Minyan, atzenta. They said, "Oh, we count. There's 10 men." No. He said, "Sorry, this is my slave." I say, he's a guy. Atzenta. They went out in the Avenue J and they cooked al azaytin. They couldn't find atzenta. So Rabbi stood up and he said, "Meshuchrer, that the slave is now free. Now that he's free, he became a full-fledged Jew. He can make him. Oh, Ashrei Yishavesecha, Oideh Luchasela." That's it. They had a minion.
But question, do you also have to have a bris milah to be counted in the minyan?
When they buy the slave, they do the bris.
Do the bris milah?
They toivel him
Okay.
in the mikveh, and the owner
Good job.
dunks him in.
Like a woman.
And now, the moment his owner gives him a shichrur, he becomes a full-fledged Jew. So Rebbe Eliezer stood up. He said, "Meshuchrer," and they right away started Ashrei Yishavesecha, and they davened. So the Gemara says, who gave him the right to do it? The Gemara says it's a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah derabim. It's a mitzvah for Klal Yisrael. Of course, it was important for Klal Yisrael, so therefore he was allowed to do it. Tosa says that maybe we could say that mitzvah rabba is similar to mitzvah derabim. Don't get confused. Mitzvah rabba means an important mitzvah. Mitzvah derabim means even if it's not an important mitzvah, but it's negei l'rabim for Klal Yisrael. So just like by mitzvah derabim, we say you're allowed to do a chet in order. I'm allowed to do a little sin. I did a little sin, but it's good for the rabbin. Also, when it's a mitzvah rabbah, I can do a sin. Okay. This is all the first mahal.
What are the parameters for a mitzvah rabbah?
Huh?
What are the parameters for a mitzvah rabbah?
I know it's a tough one. It's like
Is there any discussion
there's a lot of discussion on poskim.
but do we have any rule of thumb what a mitzvah rabbah is?
We don't. That's why there's a poskim that said there was some poskim that had an opinion that if you know the kehillas that chveis that they used to wait the whole summer for 1 or 2 esrogim to come from Morocco, or they waited from Italy or wherever it was a Yom Tov, it was the last minute, and I still didn't come, and the whole town was waiting for Lulav and Esrog. So there's a Taz in Tov Reish Nun Vav that says they're allowed to send the goy. They heard that Erev Yom Tov, they got to Yanov over there in that town. You know, the Sroigim, the Chabad gets from Italy, it's called Yanova. Yanova is a city in Poland, because that's where the dealers used to bring from Calabria. They used to bring it. That's why it got the name Yanova Sroigim. They heard that in Yanova, that the last minute they got a couple of boxes. So they're allowed to send the goy, because this is mitzvah derabim. The whole community got together to buy an esrog called mitzvah derabim. So, I mean, there are poskim that use this name. Okay.
Doesn't say out here mitzvah kalak.
Right, that you shouldn't. I know it's a good question. It's a very interesting.
Well,
And it's Rabbanon.
question.
But but here he was over more. He was over nasei.
It's not real mitzvahs. So Rabbanon, it's not.
There could be
Some of the 613 mitzvahs.
right. So you have to look if it could be that the Torah also what the Torah meant. Loylam tavoidu
It's not
was
it's not an isser.
the loylam tavoidu, and you shouldn't stand for no reason.
But it's
Make
not
them
an
free.
not an isser.
Good, so fine. He was over an asay. He was over a mitzvah asay.
I don't know. The right is one
So the way Tosis treats it, kilu, but it's hard to imagine that ad kedei kach. So we have to be ma'ayin in this.
If you're in a community and there's only one sukkah, the shul has a sukkah
Yeah,
and it gets blown down. You're saying sometimes
yeah.
you can deal over an avera. Yeah, are you allowed to get a non-Jew to put the sukkah back up so
That's what
everybody can benefit?
maybe. That's what we're
I'm talking about
entertaining.
like here. I'm
Right.
talking about a place like in a remote
Right, when
place,
there's no other sukkah.
like in Bangkok,
Right.
Thailand.
Right.
They have one sukkah for the whole
Right.
community.
This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oideh shleima. The dav kehecha the posha kamar, and another Tosis says no, a whole different thing. The dav kehecha the posha kamar chemra al adam chatei kedei sheizak. If a person did a pshia, he did the wrong thing. He did the wrong thing. Pshi over here, Tosa doesn't mean bezod. It could be even if you did b'shogig. But what do you mean? I didn't know it's Shabbos. You put the dough. What do you mean you didn't know it's Shabbos? You don't have a calendar. I didn't know what time shkia. That's in a certain way called a pshia.
So it's
What do you
worse
mean?
than shogeg.
Yeah,
It's like
it's even shogig could be called a pshia. V'asi shaper od amar bereish tamid nishchat. The osi asay the pesach sheyesh b'koros v'dochi asay da shloma v'ko avri kornim ba'asay da shloma. There's makrivim l'mechusa kippurim kaperosa kadesh you have a pesach. The Gemorrah says there's a guy that's called mechusa kippurim. There's 4 people that they can't eat any kochim until they bring their kapara. Zav zava nida v'yoldes. Zav zava nida v'yoldes more. There's all metzoyre. These guys, you can stand on their head. They already went to mikveh, but if they're mechuyev to bring a korban, they didn't bring the korban. They're called mechusa kapara. They can never eat any kochim. It's a very serious thing. So we just finished the Rambam Hilchos Karbonos. So taka these it's yotzim. Usually we don't like these guys, even if it's a question if they're mechuyev or not. But a lot of usually it's chulam bazar. If in doubt, do without. But with these guys, with this bunch of guys, when they're in doubt, they bring a korban. Because otherwise, they're never going to be able to catch him the whole life. So this guy, it's like a chap. Hey, wait a minute. This lady said we had a baby, but she says, "Yankel, did we bring already? I thought you brought it. No. Oh, she can't eat a korban pesach. What do we do now? So what's the problem? Okay, we'll bring now the korban. The problem is Allah hashlam kol karbanas kulam. That after the korban tamid, you're not allowed to bring any other korban. It's a mitzvah say to do a sandwich, to do korban tamid shel shachet, tamid shabbat, everything in between, and that's it. That's the mitzvah. To do differently is to going against the mitzvah say of Allah.
Anything after the korban tamid shel
Not allowed
for that
to. Besides korban pesach, and now the woman has to bring a korban yoldes. So we say that the korban should that because korban pesach is so strict, and not eating korban pesach is a isur of kodesh, and making a korban after a korban tamid is being only over anasei.
Is that a derisa?
This sounds more serious, yeah. Not like before we said maybe loyal mem tavoid. Yeah, it's a deraisa. Allah hash every morning. You say Abayim Masada Sedem Barach Mishimvar. Yeah. Allah hashlum kol hakabonos. Yeah, it's a mitzvah.
Yeah.
It's counted. It's counted in the mitzvahs.
I'm saying
So-
there's an isser involved.
Yeah, if the Eibush. No, it's asay. If you miss that day.
Again, we have an assay. So we have
Right.
identified.
So we said it's kedai to break an asay in order for this woman or this man to be able to eat the korban pesach, which is also an asay, but is a very strict asay of a kodesh. So we see that we say that you should do a chait. So why? Because over there we're talking about that there was no pshi involved. Again, how is it talking about there's no pshi involved? So again, you got to figure out in that sugya, it wasn't just that she was a yukul and she didn't realize it because that was really David. Whatever. There was no pshi involved. That's what's talking about over the Gemorrah. There was no negligence involved. It's traffic. There's no negligence involved. A guy is, oh wow, yeah. The guy has a yabelas. It just grew. It grew onto his skin. It happens, as you get older. So here and there, things grow on
It's
you.
called mum.
It's a mum. So, but it's a mum over. So it's Shabbos, and he wants to do the avodah. So his friend makes shahakal near bidvare and just bites it off.
Oh, God.
I'm joking about the shahakal.
Cannibal.
So he's doing him a favor, yeah. But it's a shvus. So he's being over. Huh? It's not because it's not the derech. Usually do with the scissor.
Yeah.
It's not the derech. You have a yabelas. You go to the doctor. He
Yeah.
freezes it. He puts some cream. This is not the normal way of taking off a yabelas.
Put some salt on it before.
No, just bite it straight off. The kind of these are the kind of with these type of people.
But Rabbi, I don't understand. I thought you're not permitted to cut your nails in Shabbos, right?
Right.
Would
But-
this be something similar?
It's similar. So it depends. If he cuts his nail with a nail clipper,
Yeah,
it's over the rice. If
Yeah.
he does it with his teeth like this, he's over the rabbonon.
okay.
And maybe the teeth, but no one cuts off a yabelas by chewing it with their teeth.
Oh, no.
So that's
Not
not,
safe.
no, it's not the done thing.
Yeah.
So that's over Isa de Rabbonon,
Yeah.
Isa de Rice.
And
Now one
also-
coin is doing a favor to the other coin by chomping on his yabelas.
And also, when we're given a body in this world, we're supposed to take care of it.
He's taking good care of it. He wants to get rid of the yabelas.
It's unloaded, but it's going to hurt the whole body. It's an infection.
He's so excited. He's so excited. There's a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
not going to go
All
tonight. When the Blabela Eger to
Really?
his grandfather, I have a question. It's a give me that above. So when a Yid wants to do a mitzvah, he's jumping, he's bouncing off the walls. So the Kohen wants to serve in the base of Mikdash, and the stupid little Yabelas doesn't let him serve in the base of Mikdash.
Okay.
His friend said, "What's the problem?" Gegangen. So L'chayre he's doing, one Kohen is doing an Aveda in order to help his friend. The same thing, Gabe Chetzi Shivcha v'Chetzi v'Schorim Shenoga Min Gefka v'Kofos Rabba b'Shaleach. So the Gemara says that there was a woman. Again, she was female. Again, Chetzi. Two people bought a woman, a maid. One said, "Okay, have a nice day. I'm going to Florida." Isn't I? So she became half Meshuchreres, and the other guy still kept her. So now, she can't have a husband. Who's she going to marry? She can't marry a Jew. She's half a goy. She can't marry a goy. She's half a Jew. So in the beginning, it's Shkeverlach, and then she wanted attention from men, and it became a terrible thing in town. So it became, she was a Zoina, and she was seducing men. And the Chazal said, no, that's it. They called in the owner and said, you have to make her a Bas Choyden. So this way she can get married. She's desperate. She can't get married. So that's why she's a Zoina. They forced her. So L'chayre, again, there's a Isa, Loyal Mem Tavoidu. He's doing the right thing. He's keeping a slave. So why did Chacham force his hand to make her free? Because they didn't want there should be a hefker. But L'chayre, he did a sin. He did nothing wrong, and they're sinning. So why are they forcing his hand? Now, we need really Rabbi Levi Tzabaditchev over here. This is Rabbi Levi Tzabaditchev talking. He said, Tosa says that those people, because she was Nebuch in such a desperate state of mind, that she wasn't stam of making herself available for people to sin with her. She went like, Potiphar and Yosef. She made him crazy. She would go make other men crazy in order to sleep with her. So it's as if, it's an oinus, as if she's forcing them. Obviously, when they're going to go to Bezer Shalmaila, they're going to have to remember this Tosfos. It's not a simple Tosfos. This is not really an oinus. The Tosfos itself realizes that his thing is a little weak, so he adds another thing. Whenever Rashi Tosfos says two things, there's a problem. Like the Rebbe's Mahalach, and the one pshat itself wasn't good enough because of it. Then she wasn't forcing anyone. She wasn't taking a gun to anyone's head and making them sleep with her. But she made herself so available that it was as if that, Rahman al-Islam, it was as, but Tosfos sees that for it. So Tosfos adds, it's also mitzvah derabim because it was a terrible thing in town that it made the whole city. Everyone knows that there's a woman. It wasn't good for Klal Yisrael, so that's why.
To show.
It's a mitzvah derabim.
Mitzvah the rabbi by the woman. She doesn't have a mitzvah to get married.
No, it's a mitzvah for them not to sleep with a shiksa.
That's not a mitzvah. It's not. That's not.
If there's a community, if there's
mitzvah.
1,000 people living in town, and out of the 1,000 people, there's a chveis, 10, 20 people sleeping with her. And so the rabbim, it's a big mishul to the rabbim. So that it's a mitzvah the rabbim. It's a mitzvah.
Mishul the rabbim. It's
what Tosfos means. That's what Tosfos means.
I just think it's a
What's the difference? Because he's using the words because by the Belezer it was a mitzvah to daven mincha with a minyan. He's using the lashon mitzvah.
it's a viral term,
right?
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. So the second mahalach in Tosfos really is that it's always it's a simple thing. If if the person was a Pesheya, so I shouldn't stick my neck out for him. He's a Pesheya. So listen, he's on his own. But if that person was not a Pesheya, so then I should stick out my neck. And really, this second answer Tosfos could answer all the previous questions of Tosfos. The Amoritz is Amoritz. So he's not a Pesheya. He doesn't know. He doesn't know the halachas of Terumas HaMaises. So therefore, I should stick out my neck for him. And so that's why the Tosfos says with this second answer, also Shapir, a whole bunch of other things in Shas, which the first teretz of Tosfos is not also Shapir. It doesn't come out. So the first answer in Tosfos is basically that there's two conditions when you would sin for someone else. You're slightly responsible, and plus he didn't do anything yet. And the second the answer in Tosfos is that no, you're always going to sin for someone else unless he's a Pesheya. Unless he's a Pesheya. Shabbos, what do you mean Shabbos you put? Why didn't you look at the calendar? Why didn't you look at the clock? What do you mean you didn't know it's Shabbos? You didn't know this? So that's called a Pesheya.
Mark calls it a chatas. You bring a chatas for a
That's
Pesheya?
a good question. That's why I'm explaining that sometimes it's funny here in Tosfos. The guy who's a korban chatas, we call him Pesheya. These guys are sleeping with the woman. They're called oinus. Everything is old samished over here. But this is we're talking in a big picture. This guy that put dough in the oven. What do you mean? The 6 days in the week, 7th day is Shabbos. You didn't know what time is Shkia. So good. So find out what time is Shkia. What do you mean you didn't know? There's a certain pshia here. True, technically he's over achiv chatas. Technically, but it's a certain pshia. What do you mean? The pschayid. And on the other hand, on all these other cases, I'm oretz. Why didn't you go to Cheder? Why didn't you learn? Why didn't you find out? Why didn't you go to shul? He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Or these people will say, "You're sleeping with this woman. She's forcing. She's not holding a gun to your head." But it's like I said, Chazal look at it like an oinus type of thing. So therefore, then you should stick out your neck. That's the second answer in Tosfos. That you should always stick out. So really, second Tosfos is a little more than the first. The first says I'm only allowed to do for someone else if I'm slightly responsible.
The two reasons disagree.
In L'chayre, yeah, that I'm slightly responsible, and B, that he didn't do anything yet. The second teretz of Tosfos, I should always put my neck out for my friend, unless he's a Pesheya. But otherwise, I should always put my neck. Now, one thing will stay. If the first or the second teretz of Tosfos is always going to agree that there's a befedish story in the Gemorrah about Abelazar who freed his slave, and he said I'm allowed to do it because it's mitzvah derabah. That's going to stay first answer. That's a Gemorrah, befedish Gemorrah. The only question is, can we squeeze out of that to say mitzvah derabah? So the first teretz is that also mitzvah derabah is like mitzvah derabah. The second teretz doesn't mention that. So, okay. So these are the summary of the two shittas of Tosfos. There's Yismach Moshe says like this, that
Doesn't Shulchan Aruch paskin on
the Shulchan Aruch paskin is leaning in the second one, but does bring idea of mitzvah derabah. I think mostly that Shulchan Aruch paskin is like the second teretz. Okay, so tomorrow I'll show you in the Shulchan Aruch. The Mitzvah Moshe says like this: there's a medrash clear when Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to convince the Eibush to let him go into Eretz Yisrael. He says, "Ata chilois l'aaretz as avdecha as godlecha." And the medrash clear says, "Zamon." He said that you let the monk come at my schus, so therefore I should go into Eretz Yisrael. So what? What's the? Say like this. Why is Moshe Rabbeinu staying in the desert? So Chazal say, in order for him to go in the Tchis HaMesim with the Meisei Midbar. So, but he really wants to go into Eretz Yisrael, and the Gemara says why? He wants to do the mitzvahs. So he's not going to do the mitzvahs. He's going to have a chait. He's going to miss out on the mitzvahs in order to be mezakeh those guys. So the Eibishter said, no, that's the right thing. Because a Yochid should always do a Chet in order to be Mazaka the Rabbi. So you're going to miss out the opportunity of going to Eretz Yisrael and doing the mitzvahs at Luz in Eretz Yisrael. And through that, you're going to Mazaka the whole Rabbi. Moshe Rabbeinu answered back, he said alumnus. The Gemorrah says in Tainus that there has to be a schus of the rabbi. How the the Gemorrah says that Moshe Rabbeinu was considered like a rabbi. The Gemorrah says in Tainus that because Rabbi Moshe Rabbeinu was not like was not viewed as a single man. He was considered like a rabbi. So the monk came b'schus the rabbi. Even though it came b'schus Moshe, it's considered a rabbi. So Zog the Yismach Moshe, this is like this,
Wow.
but it is sharp like a tack.
Yeah.
So he says that Moshe Rabbeinu said, you're telling me that I should stay in the desert. Why? Because that I should sin and I should not do the mitzvah Yisrael for the rabbim, but I myself is a rabbim. So it's a rabbim and a rabbim. I'm considered like a rabbin. When you brought down the Mambas Chus Moshe, you said that I'm considered like a rabbin. The Rebbe didn't accept that Lambas.
I think something else. Moshe Rabbeinu can tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if I stay in Eretz Yisrael and do all the mitzvot, it's right now I'm doing it. But when Mashiach comes, I have to take everybody from the Midbar to take him to Eretz Yisrael. It's another 1,000 of years. Mitzvah ba'alecha, al tach mitzvah. I want to do now all the mitzvot.
He tried many arguments. He tried a lot of arguments.
Yeah. Moshe was curious enough to say that he said he's like the rabbim.
But he tried. Listen, he tried every argument.
Yes, yeah.
The Bershon was telling him what Taisus was saying. That's a mitzvah. The rabbin is not. It has to be mamish a big rabbin.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the bottom line. And we see from today's sugya a beautiful thing. The idea that sometimes you're responsible to put out your neck to help another yid. It's an unbelievable thing. And I mean, Sunday we were learning the Rashi. I mentioned this many times. That Rebbe Eliyahu Mizrahi, who was such an unbelievable Talmid Chacham, he was Rosh Dayonei, Turkey, and he writes that for 2 years he closed this forum and he didn't learn anything because 1492 Jews were expelled from Spain, and all he did was collect money and to set up a whole thing so the Jews that are coming with boats to Spain should be able to acclimate and start businesses. So we see this thing that sometimes the Yid has to stick his neck out, even though hate, like Chassidus says, hate doesn't always mean a sin. That means that and my avodas Hashem is going to be nechsek. I'll be lacking because I gave for my time to another Jew. But sometimes we say, and Taka, the first thing Tosfos says, only if you're responsible. He didn't do anything. The second thing Tosfos says, no, as long as that guy was not a posheya. He's not a posheya. And in this generation, the Jews are not posheya. They don't know better. So if he's not a posheya, he was an amoritz. He doesn't know better. He doesn't know better. He doesn't know the elementary thing of what's kosher and what's not. He thinks a cheeseburger is kosher.
And if you put the two reasons together, it's a situation where you're responsible and the doer is a posheya. Then what happens?
So that will leave for tomorrow. That's what I'm saying.
That's the.
But what we learn in Avodas Hashem is a very strong thing that we have to sometimes be mavata on our own spiritual growth in order to spend time to help another yid. That's a pshat chatei chet kal that I should sometimes have a chetzon on my own Avodas Hashem in order to help out another yid. Ultimately, we're responsible for each other. So really, it's not a chet, but on the moment, that's the way it looks like. But ultimately, the Alter Rebbe says, Meir Einei Hashem, that the Eibishter lights up both the Yidden's eyes, that both have unbelievable more light than they would have had if they worked there with Hashem individually.
Does Rashi want to say for after?
He doesn't. We don't know, but we do. We know this thing that he wrote. So
This would be the raya.
that would have been a raya that he was able to. Unbelievably.
Rabbi, is he related to Eliyahu Mizrahi?
That's